Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with what I think is probably the most well-rounded bow character I've ever played, and that is a Poised Prism Widowhail Inquisitor. So it is a bow Inquisitor, and it does utilize stat stacking using Poised Prism, which gives you a bunch of flat damage per dex strength int, and then using a Widowhail to triple or close to triple the effects of whatever that is. And then I've decided to use Tornado Shot since it's nerfed, dead, buried, no one wants to play it, etc. That has finally basically opened up a window for me to use it, because I have not actually played Tornado Shot in maybe like 6 years, given that it's always been pretty meta. It still is pretty meta, don't get me wrong. It didn't really get too killed with a nerf, but it did go under some people's radar at this point just because, nerf equals bad. But this character here and the way it was built, you can pretty much play any bow skill and it would have a pretty good degree of success still, because it's built generic enough and just some additional arrows while having lots of good damage, good defense, good mobility, good recovery, good everything, which is why I'm saying it is kind of a good all-round character, or a well-rounded sort of a beast, So the idea here is that you do get some additional arrows. So Widowhail, I put a bit of money into the character to begin with, because a corrupted Widowhail with 1 additional arrow was 10 divines, and a corrupted Poised Prism with 1 additional arrow is also 10 divines. So the baseline for my character was about 20 divines, and then in total I probably put in another 10, 20 crafting various shit, and it's come together to do all of this. Quick seizure warning, this is what the Scourge Arrow of the Menace looks like, with totems as well, and it does clean up real well. Like, it can do some serious AoE farm, but then it's kind of blinding because we do have a lot of arrows and a lot of procs going off, but it's a lot of fun as well. So anyway, I put in a bunch of money to the character, not a bunch of money, but something like an extra 10 to 20 Ds. So in total, I'd say 30 or 40 divines for a character that just seemed like it was probably worth more, given what it can do and how well it plays. Hard to really quantify entirely, especially with the state of graveyard crafting. You can kind of make the dumbest shit that you would otherwise not be able to make, and both my rings are pretty much picture perfect template for Omni rings, and I made those with a graveyard craft pretty damn easily. So we are just stacking stats everywhere. The goal is to get int, strength, dex on almost every slot, and there's some pretty conventional items and a few unconventional items. So shape as touch, one of the main reasons that I have pretty well-rounded everything. They give you lots of evasion, give you lots of energy shield, life. I went with a full hybrid setup, as you can see. I went with the Sucker Wiles chest, which just gives us a lot of all stats, and then a few other utility things. And in the end we just stack a lot of all stats. And this is just a quick moment where I've been farming Harbingers a fair enough amount. Pretty much every time I get Scarabs, I'd go run some full Harbinger action, and that's the first time I got Fracturing Orb proc, which was 5 Fracturing Orbs. Pretty cool little moment there, and still yet to have a Mirror proc, but maybe maybe that'll happen eventually. Either way, Fracturing Orb's pretty cool. So the main negative that Tornado Shot typically has is its single target isn't very good, from what we're always told and seen, but this setup seems like it's got a decent amount of single target as well. So the clear is pretty nice, the survivability and all that is good too, but then the single target was very respectable all the way throughout. You can of course have another Mana Forge setup, but I still think it's probably a bit nicer to have some totems, so I use 3 totems as well in my setup, and they're also Tornado Shot totems, because felt like sticking to the Tornado Shot theme. Ideally, you probably would be running something else on your totem setup, either with Barrage or a regular some other totems, Siege Ballista, Artillery Ballista. Apparently those are good. Storm Rain totems have always served me well in the past, but I am a full Tornado Shot totem here, full Tornado Shot build, and it still seems to go pretty damn well. Additional arrows do scale the damage, and we've got 11 total arrows, though for single target I played around with getting rid of GMP and then having 7 arrows and just hypothermia instead of GMP. Hard to tell what was really better, to be honest, but this is just normal Maven, normal Shaper, and yeah, the DPS, I experimented a bunch and I couldn't entirely see if anything was particularly better. Like, I used Ice Shot, I used Ellie Hit with Barrage, I used Tornado Shot with GMP, without GMP, and it's all pretty damn similar, to be honest. So with that said, I basically just stuck to Tornado Shot for single target, and most of the time I think I would keep GMP in, but sometimes would swap in for hypothermia, just so that I don't know, I'd shock harder, hit harder, maybe that was something. And then of course after a few of these boss kills I did try out the 2 tier 17s that I had laying around. If I had more I would have probably tried more, but I only had 2 of them, and yeah, the character should be able to handle a decent amount of map mods that the 17s have that they can throw at you, but there will of course be some that are very uncomfortable and unfun to do, but the character in general just does a decent job of clearing 17s because it is ranged, it does freeze things, and that combo means that your offense in that regard is probably better than any real defense you could otherwise muster. But we do have like 90% evasion, so like 75,000 evasion, got Ghost Shrouds, got Leech, got you know, good life and energy shield recovery thanks to being Inquisitor. So, and spell suppress capped, but I think this map doesn't even have suppress, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, like, we're not a paper bag, certainly won't fall over immediately, but being ranged and having freeze helps a lot. And speaking of not falling over, I do actually just fall over right here because this thing one-shots me. But that's neither here nor there. The boss fights with certain map mods can just become pretty stupid, and that is just tier 17s, you know how it is. Tier 17s, fun, good old wholesome Path of Exile action. Still absolutely love it. But the yeah, clear of the character did end up going down pretty well. This is the other tier 17 I tried, and yep, can just kind of zoom through fairly nicely, and I was pretty pleased with the performance in the 17s. I think we should be able to farm most of them comfortably enough, but the main draw of the character is really just farming tier 16s, pretty juiced, not really caring about map mods, and doing it comfortably. So Tornado Shot, still doing Tornado Shot things by the looks of it. Could play any sort of skill if you really want, but the end sort of result is just surprising that Poised Prism and an Inquisitor as a bow build was probably my most comfortable bow character thus far, and it was really damn enjoyable. And it's not quite as speedy as a Deadeye would otherwise be, but it can still be pretty fast, and it is just a solid base for a character. And I do think I should be able to take on Ubers pretty well as well, but don't currently have any of that. And given that I might be doing some D4 in a few days, I might actually speedrun one more character rather than lingering on this one for another day. It's good, it's terrific. I'd keep playing for more probably if I could, just, you know, because it's pretty damn fun. But I think maybe I could also move on real quick as well. Either way, let me show you what the character looks like, how it's built, because it might be a bit different here or there. So real quick, I just remembered that I kind of didn't show exactly what I wanted to with the ring crafts. This is exactly what my graveyard had for the ring crafts. So a bunch of like attributes and a little bit of extra life, and then scarcer everything else more or less. And yeah, this is what the result was. So I did have create an additional item 4 times, which is supposed to be an expensive one, I think, but that's like what I just have had farmed up throughout the league myself. So I managed to make 2 rings at once, and they both hit pretty damn well. Basically exactly what you're going to want as all stat rings, and, you know, kind of like Omni rings from the past. So yeah, just wanted to show that real quick as well, so you can kind of do the same if you want to do the same. Similar to what an Omni build would have wanted in the past, but, you know, easy to make. So, like, what otherwise would have been 100 divine rings or something, pretty fucking whatever rings. So the character is level 94, door, NATO shot. So Inquisitor is a little thing, door, and then tornado shot, door, NATO shot. And yep, it is, oh, there it is, tornado shot. So tornado shot got like kind of nerfed. I think it lost a secondary projectile, something like that. And like its attack speed went lower. I think that's what happened. I don't remember. I don't really care. It seems to work out just fine still. All that said, the build is based around Poised Prism, so cold, fire, and lightning. Given that we do all three, we are an Inquisitor to take advantage of both stat stacking for strength and int, and also for just ignoring enemy res. With the Widowhail, I think we need a 2-3-4 specifically to get the lightning damage up to 7. Maybe, I think is what the situation was. Otherwise, you just need like a 200 so that you can get 2 additional arrows and also just like double things in general. So yeah, that's what is happening with the Widowhail and the situation there. And like I said, I bought both of these for 10 divines each, but they were sitting there for like 10 days. So draw your own conclusions. I don't know. If you can't get additional arrow, then, you know, the build will still work fine. It's just going to be a bit worse. I think you can get other cool implicits as well. So like additional chain might be something, because currently I'm mapping with chain. Just damage in general should be fine too. Yeah, it also helps take care of resists, because it gives you a lot of resists. And then you can see a damage spread here. It's 0 to 27,000 lightning and then a bunch of everything else. I'm using volatility, given that, well, lightning specifically is very volatile already, so why not use it? And then, yeah, kind of pure profit. The entire links in general are Tornado Shot, Mirage Archer, and then we're either mapping with Chain or GMP, depending on how you feel, but I have been enjoying Chain recently. Crit damage, and I was using crit strikes for a very long time because our base crit is terrible. Even though we've got so much crit, the base crit is pretty bad. So until you're ready to drop crit strikes, just keep running it. And then early damage attacks and volatility. So my stat counter at the moment is 1232. It's a bit wrong on the screen, I think. Yep, 1232, 1196, and 1003. And with all of that, I do get, like I said, all of the stuff from Shaper's Touch, so it's pretty good to just have all of that coming in from Shaper's Touch as per usual. Without any flasks up, 53,000 evasion, almost cap suppress, but I could cap it with 1 extra point, or I could just wear this for finishing it off. Resists are a little bit hard on the gear otherwise, so I'm using Purity of Elements as well, and I'm also running a Crown of Eyes to get spell damage conversion from Iron Will, since we have a lot of strength in the build. So the largest part of my damage is coming from Iron Will and Crown of Eyes, and also Cyclopean Coil. 1% increased damage per 5 of your lowest attribute means that in the end I'm getting 200% increased damage from Dexterity. So this belt was like 40C at the time, because it's just stats and then didn't hit anything except for Grace. So no one wants that type of shit, and yeah, I get to pick it up for like 40C. Likewise with this thing, Eyes of the Great Wolf, so you're looking for an attribute crit multi one, if you can. This is the lowest possible roll, I think, so then I bought it for 1 divine. Might be a bit more at this point, obviously. The highest possible rolls are things that people look for, and they cost a lot more. If not that, then pretty much any Eyes of the Great Wolf percent stats is going to be your best bet, but an Astromantis can still start you off. But yeah, an Astromantis is worse than any percent stat one, because we do have a lot of flat and not that much percent. So in the end, any additional percent is pretty damn valuable. So like I said, I'm using a Sackerwall's Chest just for the stats, and then also fit in a bit more reservation, but I'm also then running the Aspect of the Aven level 30, which gives us some extra double damage and then movement speed as well. And it rotates, so 4 seconds you'll have that, 4 seconds you'll have that. And it's pretty good buff. Like, the extra movement speed feels pretty noticeable, and then the extra damage feels pretty noticeable. So a lot of the time you want to try and line up your double damage during your burst window, but I'm just trying to do that at the start of a boss fight. Other than that, it doesn't really matter. And then, yeah, the only other real important thing is how the passive tree is laid out. It's not going to look very normal. I was going to go for 2 more levels and get dexterity and int over here. That's why this thing is happening here right now. But other than that, you start in the Inquisitor area and then you go straight on over to the Ranger area. You put a fuck ton of circles in your tree and it equals profit. We go all the way up to get a single bow cluster, so I bought one of these for I think 2 divines, and then just like alt regal, annul, exalt until you get some good shit. What you're looking for is 35 effect with some stats ideally, but you could also get 4% or 3% attack speed in the end. That'll give you 4% attack speed per node. Currently what these are doing is 5 stats, 10 strength, and some damage per node. And then going all the way up here, enable split personalities. These are the not good versions of split personalities, so the best ones are int strength, and those cost like 5 divines. These are just strength dex int, and these were 10c each, so no one cares about these. And then over here we are using a lethal pride, gives us more strength, but also some good cool shit in the form of double damage, a little bit of fire res, which I did need, double damage, 5% strength, and 5% strength. This one was like 60c, but yeah, basically in this area, there's a bunch of stuff you can pick, and what you're looking for is a good combo of some strength, some double damage, see what you can get. I did slam a massive Thread of Hope here. These are the cheapest Thread of Hopes at the moment, and that lets us get things like Finesse and Quick Step, and didn't really care for either of these nodes unless they were going to do something extra special, so double damage there. I mean, this one still gives us movement speed, so why not? We can get a 30 strength node over here as well, but otherwise also another life node. And if you need help with reservation and better auras, you can grab these. Otherwise, still Hide Killer and Path of the Hunter. So that's a pretty big deal over there. We then have an Unnatural Instinct, which is hitting up this entire little zone. And as you can see, it's giving us all of that. And then all attributes, because I'm running a Paranda's Pact over here for 2 extra stats. In the end, in this area, I think it's giving me something like 60 to all stats. And this thing's like, I don't know, a divine, something like that. No one really cares about this thing either. So yeah, Paranda's Pact with Unnatural Instinct combo over there. And then otherwise I'm an Inquisitor that does that, and some aura shit or Consecrated Ground shit. I did grab a Watcher's Eye just for Chaos Res on Purity. I tried to get it to do something extra, so it did cooldown recovery of haste, but it's worthless. And then I slammed 1 divine on it and hit 50 Chaos Res. So yeah, that was pretty lucky. But I just basically needed something to top up my Chaos Res, so that type of Watcher's Eye is what I got. And then, yeah, that's what the tree looks like, and shit. Not much else to mention. Grabbed a Corrupted Blood Jewel with some stats and bow, so didn't cost too much, just did some kind of utility. And that is basically the build. Feels pretty fucking good, and it feels a bit hipster and unique, and yeah, Poised Prism Inquisitor. I am pretty damn surprised and pleased with how well it went. Blackjack King, our resident Inquisitor enthusiast, last league played this type of a character and said it was insane and I need to try it. But he did a CI version and with buff Tornado Shot. I'm doing a hybrid version and it is nerf Tornado Shot, and it is still pretty damn insane. So here it is, there it is. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, if you want to try it, you can copy it to some good level of extent, because it is one smooth customer when it comes to a bow build. But with that, thank you very much for watching, and see you guys next time.